Welcome back. I have Tim Moy, who's here to give us our security update. And this time we're going to talk about the captain's jobs, especially when there are emergencies or something going on in the community. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So we're talking about our good neighbor captains.
Right, the good neighbor captains. And so tell me a little bit about what their job is.
Yeah, so they're part of the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, and we would love to have as many volunteers step forward for that position as possible. We've got about 400 in the community. We need about 1,000.
Oh, wow.
In the event of some type of an emergency, and maybe first responders are not available, we need our residents to take on that leadership role and to check on their neighbors and just to report it to us.
Okay.
That's the primary responsibility is, we're going to ask them to don a vest, that yellow vest that we give them. We provide training to them.
Right.
And they'll just go throughout the building or wherever they live, check on their neighbors, and then report that information to us.
Okay.
So we get a grasp of what's taking place in the community, where we need to apply our resources. And then when the sheriff and the fire department are available in the event of a major catastrophe, we know where to direct them. And then there's some other things that we can do in the meantime, where they can go, where they can receive some first aid. So we've got a pretty good plan in place.
Okay.
We just need more volunteers to step forward.
Okay, so you have 400, but you want 1,000, right?
That's
what you'd like. Okay,
right.
So where is it that you're short? I mean, is it per community or what?
Yeah,
where are you short?
It's pretty much spread throughout the community. We've got some areas that you've got captains that can take care of an entire building or even a cul-de-sac or a neighborhood, and that's great. But the bottom line is, if you don't know who your good neighbor captain is, probably don't have one.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so you can get a hold of us at security. We'll let you know. We had some training yesterday.
Right, tell me how that went.
It went well. We had about 25 people show up, and normally we get anywhere from 25 to 50 people. We've got a handout where we provide the directions.
Okay.
This is not complicated. We're not asking you to do CPR or first aid, although we do provide that training.
Okay.
But it's just it's a person who's willing to step forward in a leadership role and just check on their neighbors and make sure they're okay, and that's why we call it good neighbors.
A good neighbor, right?
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So now, once you are a captain or a good neighbor captain, what can the residents expect from that person?
Right. That's a great question. So we actually give our captains a little kit here, and you can see it on the screen behind you. We're going to lay out their responsibilities, but the first thing they need to do is go introduce themselves. Okay. So we give them that yellow vest.
Do they have that yellow vest now?
They do.
Okay.
So if you get a knock on your door and it's your neighbor and they're wearing a yellow vest, that means they've stepped forward and said, "Hey, I'm going to be your good neighbor captain." Okay. And in the event of an emergency, a major incident, a power outage, an earthquake, a major fire that has threatened our community, you're probably going to get a knock on the door, and that person in that vest is going to check on you, maybe give you an update. They're going to give directions on sheltering in place or potentially evacuations. We're going to convert our clubhouses into care and reception centers, so there's a place to go. But the primary responsibility is they're just going to check on your well-being. How are you doing? Are you injured? If there's a major earthquake, do we need to get you out of here? Is the building unstable? That type of thing.
Okay. All right. Good. I actually want to go to the next slide if we could, because I want to make sure that the community actually sees all the different things that the captains are going to be doing. So the duties of the good neighbor captain is what you just said. So they check on the family, they get the vest, and they have a clipboard. And what kind of forms would they have inside there? Is that just forms for them to know, or forms for the residents to have?
Right, kind of both. So we're going to ask them to understand who their neighbors are and have that information already pre-filled out. So who lives right around them? Hopefully they've developed a relationship with them, so
kind of like a kind of neighborhood watch type
exactly
of thing.
Right. And then when they go in there, and depending on whether or not what that person wants to share, they may say, "Hey, I've got a medical condition." We may go check on them first in the event of an emergency. Hey, I know Margaret has got a hip problem, doesn't move around well. I'm going to go check on her, make sure she's okay. Can she get out? Is she going to need assistance? That type of thing. And then our good neighbor captain is not necessarily going to try to help her right on the scene. She's going to report that information up to our emergency operations center.
How will they communicate it? Are they going to have like radios or?
Right, we do have radios at the clubhouses.
Oh, okay. So will they go to the clubhouses first and then go to the neighborhood?
No, yeah, great question.
I mean, because you want to go get the radio, right?
Right. So their first job is to go check on their neighbors.
Okay.
They fill out this form that basically has boxes to check if there's any injuries.
Okay.
Is the building damaged? And then they're going to take that information, bring it to the clubhouse.
Okay.
We have a person at the clubhouse who is then going to get it to our emergency operations center, so that we're getting all this information, and then we can disperse our resources out.
Okay.
As appropriate.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. You know, let's talk about the emergency operations plan, because I'm thinking in my mind a ton of different questions.
Sure.
Like, what happens if we do have an earthquake and some of the roads are messed up? How are the people going to get from their community to the clubhouse to get all the necessary stuff they need?
Right. So that's part of the emergency operations plan.
Okay.
We've got executives and management and supervisors who've been trained in emergency management. Okay. And this plan is not something that we're just kind of put together. We're not shooting from the hip. This is a national standard. We followed FEMA guidelines, Department of Homeland Security. We brought in a vendor. We put in a plan that can stand to any other plan across the county.
Okay.
So every city has to have one,
Okay.
and the city of Laguna Woods does have an emergency operations plan. So do we.
Okay,
And it's only because, hey, if first responders are not immediately available, we're going to have to fend for ourselves for a while.
Right.
Look at what's going on in the Carolinas right now with that hurricane that came through.
Yeah.
And you know, the devastation is so severe that FEMA and the fire and the law, they just can't get everywhere.
Right.
And so
we shipped 1,000 or so people from California, didn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's and you know, hey, our hope in this is that if something were to happen, our first responders are available.
Exactly.
That it's maybe it's concentrated to a certain area where we can pull resources.
Right.
There are those partnerships from Orange County to LA to San Diego.
Right.
So if it's just concentrated in our area, we're pretty confident that we'll get first responders here to help us.
Okay.
If it's widespread, if it's a regional issue, maybe not so much. So we just want to be able to educate our residents to prepare themselves.
Right.
As you know, this is National Preparedness Month.
Right, National Preparedness Month.
Right, and that means that's across the nation that this initiative is encouraging people to put a kit together, have a plan, make sure that you have water for several days, you have dry goods, you've got your medication, you have batteries, you have a flashlight, you have a radio, all those little things. And you can find that on our website if you go to security and then disaster preparedness.
Okay.
I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but this is the month.
But it's good to know. I mean, now's the time to figure it out. And they also have those packs too that you can pick up down there.
Right.
I forget what area is that?
That's our disaster
That's
preparedness
the disaster
office.
preparedness office. That's
right on the first floor.
Okay. Good.
Next month, in October, we have the Great California Shakeout, and that's another initiative that takes place across the state.
Right.
This time, we're going to do a kind of a live exercise where we try to get volunteers to come in to one of our clubhouses. You're going to see some email blasts go out. We're looking for volunteers for that to serve as actors.
Oh.
Yeah, and just to put our people to the test. So let's say we have our clubhouse. We've converted it into a care and reception center. Now we want people to come in and test us. Hey, my building, my power's out. I need someplace to stay. I'm a minor cut, injury. Who can help me?
Right.
And that's a place you can go. So we'll be looking for volunteers, but stay tuned for more information on that. Perfect.
All right, good. So we're actually showing some hazards, and I know that we really don't see that many hazards here. Knock on wood. Like we have earthquakes. We've had some fires. We haven't really had such terrible storms. I mean, maybe down by the ocean more because of the surge or something coming in, but not too bad here, right?
Right. Well, if you look at our state and the fires that have taken place, and of course the threat of earthquakes, we're knock on wood here. We're long overdue. I mean, we live on a fault. So we've got to be ready for an earthquake. You look at I think the North Ridge several years ago. And I know there were some slides on fires. The Laguna
the
fire.
93 fire.
93, and if you look at that map, you could see that it just came just short of Laguna Woods.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So a lot of different types of threats.
Yeah.
You see obviously the earthquake.
Right.
The one on the lower right there is that north ridge.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you can see the type of destruction a major shake
Well, and some of
cause.
our buildings are older. I mean, hopefully they've been retrofitted, some of them to help with that, but not all of them.
Right, and so we're gonna, if in the event of a major earthquake, we're gonna have to get out there with our engineers and to assess the damage.
Right.
If a building looks uninhabitable, we've got to move our people out. Where can they go?
Right.
We'll be working with our Emergency Operations Center for the county.
Right.
There's a lot of things here. I want our residents to know we have a plan.
Right.
We know what we're doing. We have partnerships with the county, with the city.
Right.
Again, and you have to because of the area we live in.
Right. We're not trying to scare anybody. We're just trying them to be prepared. I mean, it is a scary thing, but you guys are following what we call the incident command.
Right, ICS. Right.
ICS,
yes.
okay.
Incident
And that's national,
system.
right?
It is, and that's part of NIMS, National Incident Management System.
Okay.
So we all follow that. I was trained on it through the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
All our personnel in security supervisors have been trained on incident command, and there's a process of how you respond to emergencies. So again, we're not doing it differently than the sheriff or the fire.
Right.
We're all working together. We're using the same terms. We're the same verbiage, the same protocols, the same positions.
Right.
We have an operations, a logistics, a planning, a finance chief, as do every other ICS as well.
Well, good. Well, good thing you're here. I mean, it's good to have. I mean, I think we're in really good hands. So if somebody was interested in becoming a Good Neighbor Captain, or if they just had questions about some of the stuff that we've talked about, who should they call?
Right. Give us a call at security, and 580-1400.
Perfect.
We will then get in contact with you. And if you want to be a Good Neighbor Captain, we'd love to have you. If you just want to know, do I even have one? In my neighborhood, give us a call.
Okay, you'll have all the list of who's there.
We have the database. We're looking for more. Although, again, we had training yesterday. There will be additional training, and we can do one-on-one training as well. If you're interested in stepping forward, come on in. We'll get you that packet, and we'll set you up.
You need about 600 more.
At least.
So hopefully we'll get that. All right. Well, thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Good to have you. And you can get your information from the security department to be a Good Neighbor Captain. So step up and participate. We'll be right back after this.